So have you ever had that, that familiar mental fog feeling?
Oh, definitely. That moment where a name is right there, but you just can't quite grab it.
Exactly. Or you sit down, you're trying to focus, and your mind just sort of drifts away. It's really frustrating.
It is. That sense that maybe you're not quite as sharp, or memory isn't what it was, or focus is just harder to hold on to.
Yeah. And I think it's easy to kind of jump to this conclusion that, oh, well, my brain is just declining,
Yeah.
that this is just the new normal.
Right. But what if that's not the whole story? The sources we looked at offer a pretty different take.
Different how?
Well, what if that feeling isn't because your brain is broken, but maybe just undertrained?
Undertrained. Okay, interesting.
That's really the core idea here, that your brain isn't this fixed thing. It's actually capable of amazing growth, adaptation, no matter your age.
So you can actually upgrade it, boost memory, sharpen concentration, think more clearly.
That's what the material suggests, yeah. And that's really what we want to dig into in this deep dive, how to actually do that.
Because, when you stop and think about it, your brain is basically command central, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's your personal superpower, really. It influences everything: thoughts, feelings, decisions, creativity, the whole lot.
Everything. And the sources seem hopeful, saying that boosting this power isn't some exclusive thing.
Exactly. It's accessible. It comes down to simple, consistent habits anyone can build.
Okay, let's get into it then. The sources use this term brain power. What does that actually mean, according to them? It's not just IQ, right?
No, definitely not just IQ points or, trivia knowledge. It's much broader.
Okay.
It covers things like memory, obviously, and processing speed, how fast you take stuff in and react.
Yeah.
But also, critically, focus, your attention span, plus problem-solving skills, creative thinking, and even emotional intelligence, sort of understanding and managing your own emotions and reading others.
So it's like the overall efficiency and flexibility of your mind.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, the comprehensive performance.
And the sources highlight something pretty staggering about the brain's actual structure to back this up. Something about neurons.
Yeah, the sheer number is wild, around 86 billion neurons. 86 billion. But, the number itself isn't even the main point the sources make. It's what those neurons can do every single day.
Right, they could do something specific.
They can form new connections constantly. Like, new pathways are being built, others are getting stronger, some are pruned away, all based on what you do and experience.
New connections daily. That capacity just feels enormous. And there's a scientific term for this.
There is. It's called neuroplasticity. It's this fundamental ability of the brain to reorganize itself, change its structure and function throughout your entire life.
It doesn't just stop when you're a kid.
Not at all. And this continuous rewiring, this neuroplasticity, is why the strategies we're going to talk about actually work. Your brain isn't fixed. It's ready to be shaped.
Okay, so that foggy feeling isn't necessarily decline. It might just be untapped potential.
That's the perspective, yeah.
So the sources lay out, 12 practical ways to tap into this neuroplasticity and boost that brain power?
That's right. 12 powerful, actionable things.
Let's get into the first one. The sources seem to frame this as absolutely foundational.
They do. And it's prioritizing quality sleep.
Sleep. Okay, seems obvious, but they call it more than just rest, right? A nightly brain tune-up. What's actually happening?
Yeah, it's not passive. During deep sleep, your brain is working hard. It's consolidating memories, shifting information from temporary holding to more permanent storage.
Yeah.
And crucially, there's this thing called lymphatic system, basically the brain's cleaning crew. It's super active during sleep, flushing out metabolic waste products.
Like toxins. Things that build up.
Exactly. Things like amyloid beta, which you hear about in relation to cognitive decline. Sleep helps clear that stuff out.
So it's literally cleaning house while you sleep. And if you don't get enough, that cleaning gets skipped.
Precisely. The sources link even minor sleep debt directly to problems the next day. Less focus, trouble learning, worse mood regulation, things like that.
So consistent, good quality sleep isn't a luxury. It's basic maintenance. The sources mention practical stuff like a regular schedule, dark room, avoiding screens.
Yeah, all the classic sleep hygiene tips. But the core message is treat sleep as non-negotiable. It pays off immediately in how your brain works and how you feel.
Okay, sleep is number one. What's next? The sources talk about fuel. eating for a smarter brain.
Right. Your brain is incredibly hungry. It's only about 2% of your body weight, but it uses something like 20% of your daily calories.
Wow, 20%?
Yeah, just to keep the lights on, basically. So the quality of those calories really, really matters.
Do they get specific about what foods are best?
They do. Omega-3s are big. Think fatty fish like salmon, sardines. They're like building blocks for brain cells, good for memory, mood.
Okay.
Blueberries get mentioned a lot for flavonoids, which apparently help brain cells communicate better. Broccoli for antioxidants and vitamin K, linked to memory.
I remember seeing turmeric mentioned specifically too. What's the deal with turmeric?
Ah, yes, curcumin, the active compound. It's got strong anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties, and it can cross the blood-brain barrier. But the really interesting thing the sources point out is its link to boosting BDNF.
BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. That sounded important, like Miracle Grow for the brain or something.
Huh. That's actually a pretty good analogy the sources use. BDNF helps nerve cells survive, encourages new neuron growth, and strengthens those connections, the synapses.
So boosting BDNF directly supports that neuroplasticity we talked about.
Exactly. So turmeric helps there. Also, pumpkin seeds for minerals like zinc, magnesium, copper, vital for nerve signals. Dark chocolate in moderation for its flavonoids and blood flow. Nuts, especially walnuts, for more omega-3s.
And just drinking water, hydration, that was in there too, wasn't it?
Absolutely critical. Even being mildly dehydrated, like just a 2% drop, can mess with your focus, memory, and thinking. So sipping water throughout the day is a really simple win.
And on the flip side, things to avoid.
Yeah, the usual suspects, really. Sugary drinks, too much alcohol, highly processed foods. They're flagged as potentially causing inflammation and harming cognitive function long term.
Okay, fuel sorted. But it's more than just diet. Next up, moving your body to train your brain.
This one comes across as incredibly powerful in the sources. Exercise has direct, measurable effects on the brain.
How does, getting sweaty actually help your thinking?
Several ways. First, it boosts blood flow, more oxygen, more nutrients get to the brain. Simple but effective.
Right.
It also triggers the release of feel-good neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which helps with mood and focus. And critically, it's another major way to boost that BDNF.
BDNF again. So exercise directly feeds neuroplasticity.
Directly supports neuron growth and keeps those connections strong. Regular exercise isn't just about better thinking now. The sources stress it helps protect against cognitive decline later on, too.
We're not talking needing to run marathons here.
Not at all. They list things like brisk walking, jogging, cycling, weights, yoga. Dance gets a special mention because it combines movement with thinking coordination, rhythm, remembering steps.
That makes it feel very doable.
Even just short bursts, like a 15-minute walk, can apparently give you a noticeable mental clarity boost, according to the material.
Okay, good to know. Now, speaking of clarity and managing our internal state, meditation and mindfulness are strongly recommended.
Yeah, especially in today's world, right? With constant notifications, distractions, our brains are kind of under siege. Mindfulness is presented as a crucial skill for managing that overload.
Does meditating actually change the brain physically? The sources mentioned something about that.
It's pretty striking, actually. They cite research showing regular practice, even just 5 or 10 minutes a day, can lead to measurable changes. Specifically, increased gray matter density.
Gray matter? In which parts?
Areas linked to learning, memory, emotional regulation, perspective taking, like the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex.
So just sitting and focusing on your breath can physically change your brain structure over time.
That's what the research cited suggests, yes. And beyond the structure, it helps reduce activity in the amygdala, the brain's sort of fear center. So less anxiety, less stress response, and it directly trains your attention muscle.
Better focus, better resistance to distractions. Makes sense. Powerful stuff for just a few minutes a day. Okay, so brain-fueled, centered. Next is actively using it, challenging your mind daily.
Right, this leans heavily on that neuroplasticity idea again. Continuous learning. The brain loves novelty. It thrives on challenge.
So learning new things is like a mental workout.
Exactly. When you learn a new skill or absorb complex information, you're literally building and reinforcing neural pathways. It forces the brain to work.
What kind of challenges are good examples?
Oh, lots. Learning a new language that uses multiple brain areas. Logic puzzles like chess or Sudoku. Picking up a musical instrument. Taking an online course on something totally new. Even memorizing things like poems or facts.
Yeah.
Or reading something dense like philosophy or science articles.
The key seems to be stepping outside your comfort zone, mentally speaking. Don't just do the same old things.
Precisely. Keep it varied, keep it challenging. Which leads nicely into the next point, limiting distractions and busting the multitasking myth.
Ah, multitasking. We all try it, don't we? It feels productive. But the sources say myth.
Pretty much, yeah. They explain that you're not actually doing multiple things at the same time with full attention. You're just switching back and forth really fast.
Task switching.
Right. And each switch costs mental energy. Your brain has to disengage, refocus, pull up the info for the new task.
Yeah.
It's inefficient.
So you end up burning energy just on the switching, not the actual tasks.
Exactly. The sources show it leads to more errors, less efficiency, and just feeling mentally drained. It fragments your focus.
So carving out focus time isn't just about getting more done, it's about managing your brain's resources better.
Absolutely. Practical things like turning off notifications, using time blocking, creating a dedicated, quiet workspace. These are about protecting your limited attentional resources. Focus is precious.
Makes total sense. And related to workspace, the sources also talk about building a brain-healthy physical environment.
Yeah, the space around you has a bigger impact than we might think on our mood and cognitive function.
How can my desk setup affect my brain?
Well, things like natural light, it helps regulate your circadian rhythm, which affects sleep and alertness. Exposure to nature, even just having plants around, can apparently lower stress.
Oh.
Sound matters too. Calming sounds, certain music can help focus, and even just reducing physical clutter can, according to the sources, reduce mental load and improve clarity.
So making your space bright, maybe with some green, relatively tidy and quiet, that's actively supporting your brain.
That's the idea. Consciously designing your environment can make it easier to concentrate and feel less stressed.
Okay, moving from physical space to social space, staying socially engaged comes up next.
Yes, human connection isn't just nice to have. The sources present it as vital brain stimulation. Think about it. Engaging in conversation, understanding social cues, remembering details about people, empathy. These are complex cognitive tasks. Social interaction activates multiple brain regions.
So hanging out with friends is basically a brain workout.
In a way, yes. The sources link strong social ties to better memory, lower risk of depression and anxiety, and even slower cognitive decline as we age.
So making time for people, friends, family, clubs, volunteering, it's a direct investment in brain health.
It's a powerful form of enrichment, yeah. And sort of related to engaging with the world, the next point is reading every day.
Reading, classic advice. What specific brain benefits do the sources highlight?
It's described as a real all-rounder for the brain. It improves vocabulary, language processing. It strengthens memory as you follow plots or arguments. It builds focus, especially compared to more passive media. Plus, it stimulates imagination and critical thinking, making you analyze and infer.
And the advice is to read widely, right? Mix it up.
Exactly. Fiction, nonfiction, different genres. Challenge different parts of your brain. Even just 10-15 minutes a day consistently adds up to significant benefits according to the material.
Okay. Now, we've mentioned stress, but managing it effectively gets its own point. It sounds critical.
It really is. The sources are quite stark about the dangers of chronic stress. It's described as actively damaging to the brain.
Damaging how?
Primarily through the prolonged release of stress hormones, like cortisol. The material links high cortisol over time to actual shrinkage in brain areas vital for memory and learning.
Shrinkage, like the hippocampus. Chronic stress can actually shrink parts of your brain.
That's the serious warning in the sources, yes. Which really underscores why managing stress isn't just about feeling better, it's about protecting your brain's physical structure and function.
So what helps?
The sources list things we've touched on: mindfulness, meditation, also talking things through, journaling, listening to music, and especially spending time in nature, which seems particularly restorative for mental fatigue.
It reframes self-care, doesn't it? Not an indulgence, but essential brain maintenance.
Absolutely. Protecting your brain means actively managing stress.
And the final point, number 12, wrapping this all up. Fostering curiosity. Never stop learning.
Yeah, this is less about specific tasks and more about an overall attitude, a mindset. Curiosity is framed as the fundamental fuel for keeping your brain growing and vibrant.
Just wanting to know things, asking why.
Exactly. Staying open, exploring new ideas, seeking out novel experiences just because you're interested. It could be watching a documentary on a new topic, trying a hobby, visiting a museum, just consciously asking more questions.
It sounds like curiosity keeps that neuroplasticity engine running, keeps the brain flexible and ready to build those new connections.
That's the essence of it. It maintains that adaptability by constantly feeding the brain the novelty and challenge it seems to crave. It's about keeping that drive to explore alive.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground in this deep dive based on these sources.
We really have. We looked at how the brain can change neuroplasticity and then those 12 specific ways the sources recommend. Sleep, smart eating, moving your body, mindfulness, challenging your mind, limiting distractions,
Building a good environment, staying social, reading daily, managing stress, and staying curious.
Woo! It all circles back to that central idea. Your brain is this incredibly powerful tool you own. It's not fixed. You can invest in it every single day.
And that investment impacts everything: thinking clearer, better memory, more creativity, better emotional balance.
It really does ripple outwards into all areas of life.
So thinking about all this, if the sources are right, and your brain really does thrive on novelty, on challenge, and if curiosity is the fuel, what does that mean for you listening right now? Maybe think about this. What's just one new thing? Could be small, could seem insignificant, but one new thing you'll actively seek out or learn about starting today, just to feed that amazing tool your brain and keep it sharp.